Greetings, everybody. All right, this is going to be a hard show, but if you're ready to hear any truth, please stick around. If you're not ready, don't hang out. If you don't want to hear anything that might change the way you feel, think, or know things about, don't listen. Uh, I'm telling you, the truth always hurts. It's not a pleasant thing. The truth is never what people want to hear, ever, especially when it's about things they totally were programmed to believe. What God is, what the angels are, what demons are, what aliens are, what people think and stuff. It's all programmed ideas from people that have no clue to any real truth. Well, I'm going to start with a couple things. The first important thing that everybody should know, there's a spiritual law that exists on this realm, this planet, what I call hell. Okay, the first law is the law of non-interference. Go against that law, and all you do is create karma, meaning you will stay here and reincarnate over and over. Even if you don't believe in the word, that's your problem. You'll learn it one day or one lifetime. Maybe not this one, next one, the one after that. Hold on, let's see if this helps at all. All right, the truth's out there, and you can find it if you're willing to listen and search and sift through the garbage that you've been fed. I'm going to start with one of the most important things that people have been dealing with that cause one of the most serious problems. Your religion. Let's start there. What do you believe in? God, Jesus, Moses, Buddha. What religion do you follow? All right. Now, can you prove it to yourself? You know, when people say, well, I had a miracle in my life. A miracle in your life. What happened? A plane hit your house and you lived through it. So, 2 weeks later, your house blew up. I mean, what happens when something else happens? One miracle, is that protection? The word that you believe in so much? And then there's people saying everything's the way it's supposed to be. What is supposed to be? Whether you do something good or bad, is there a supposed to be to any of that? All right, I'm doing a show for a few reasons. One, I listened to Mr. Walsh, okay, uh, Conversation with God. All right, I listen to everything he does. I listen to everything any so-called spiritual person puts out there, videos they put up, and see if they got any truth that can help mankind move forward. Oh, sure, his stuff is helping people move into the world of happiness and belief that things are good and things get better and all those kind of things. Sadly, right now is not the time to have children, and people so infatuated with having children, look at what you're bringing them into. All right, but people don't want to do that either. Oh no, we're supposed to have a family. Catholic religion says you have to have children, or they don't even want to marry you. There's so much programming going on with religion in every aspect of it, but a lot of it is accepted. All right, and that's because you start off as a child and you're programmed over and over with ideas and thoughts. But getting back to Neil Diamond Walsh, he talks to God, okay? And I just was going to do a whole thing. I got some notes which I got to look at in a second. But hold on, I didn't put my comments back up. Think about it. Talking to God. Okay, a lot of people are coming out saying they talk to God. You know, everybody talks to God. How many people get any kind of a real answer? Not coming from their mind, their ego, their make-believe voices, or any of that. But God. You think God comes out, hey, wake up, go to the store today, buy some popcorn and pop it. What do you think God's going to talk to you about? Why do you think God would need to talk to you? What do you think God has to do with this realm? This is hell, people. And oh, how can I say that? Because this is the only place, soul, which is what you are. All right? That inside this body, that is always going to be you, no matter what happens to your body, no matter how many times you reincarnate, that part of you is going to be you always. It's not going to be somebody else, not anybody else's thoughts. It's going to be you and your programming to your own self. And you learn and create that by lifetime after lifetime, which doesn't fulfill what it's supposed to do when it comes here. Now, God doesn't force people to become spiritual. And that's why He created hell. It's to help a soul grow. If you're not going through anything, you don't grow at all. Rich, famous people with lots of money, their only problem is like trying to stay together with their wife and things like that. Not about they don't have the money to do this, they don't have the money to do anything wrong, any place they want to go, anything. They just change it and do it. Not like middle class and poor people. But if you believe the truth, what is it? Now, if you say God protects you, how? You say you deal with Jesus. Jesus was the most spiritual person to ever walk this planet. He himself never, ever said he was God. And to think he's going to come back? Why would you want to come back to hell when you were here and went through all the suffering the first time and nobody listened? How many people you think understood what Jesus was saying? People wrote and wrote and wrote a bunch of stories, but not pertaining to what he was truly saying. First off, when he was alive, for a short period of time, nobody knew what God was. Nobody had an idea of what a God was. Images, statues, alien people working and talking to them and things like that, but no real image of a real God. The Egyptians used words like gods. Now, somebody just wrote a story about Adam and Eve. I said, the Pope came out and said it was a story anyway about 2 years ago. But it is a story. But listen, read it. If you're not a religious person, read Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve. It's only a couple pages. Read the lies in it. Read what God says. Read what happens. And guess what? In that short little story, God lies to Adam. You think God has to come down to hell and lie to people? Are you really that brainwashed and programmed? Sorry, people, if you can't read, get somebody else to read it to you. It's short. Adam and Eve is a short story. Listen to the words that God uses. Listen to what he says. Listen to what happens. See the lie. Find the lie. It's directly right in front of your face. Multiple lies. So, starting with that, okay, the beginning of that, mankind has accepted the idea. I kind of went into this a little the other day, but accepted the idea men are here and then women were created out of him, given man an ego. That's how ego started, thinking they're better than women. And it never changed, ever through history. And the other word that goes hand in hand is love, Love, another make-believe word in man's definition of it. All right? Love didn't exist before Jesus came here. It didn't. Women were slaves. Women were everything except a spiritual loving being that a husband could love and cherish and all that. It wasn't like that ever. The experienced it was because how Jesus acted with Mary Magdalene. Now, and even that was stripped out of the Bible in great detail. Because no man wanted a woman to have any power, be anything special. Sure, queens and things existed, but they were always next to the king. If the king died, then the queen was in power. I guess you know what's happening in England. But again, outside of that, how many women were famous? I mentioned that. Joan of Arc, killed at 19. She was a rebel. She believed in Jesus, and she believed in God, but she was killed for her actions. They burned her at the stake in the middle of the city. They were so afraid of her. A 19-year-old girl. So it shows you where men were always killing, sacrificing, torturing. And all through Egypt, Mayans, Aztecs, and all those countries and time frames. Sacrifice. Usually it was children and women. There's times when they sacrificed men, but usually it was women and children. Because women are spiritual and powerful. So let's give that energy over to God. Really? God doesn't need it? You think God needs anything you have to offer it? And people, look, you claim all these things, what you can do for God. The only thing you could do for God, only thing, is realize who and what you are as soul. All right? And that's not easy. Took me a long time to really work it out in detail, what it means. I'm hiding my chat so I could see a couple notes that I wanted to talk about. Because I wrote this letter. and I sent it to a famous person who I'm talking about. Whether he ever reads it or not is depending on how much, uh, I don't know, how big his ego is and if he wants to hear the truth at all. All right. Now, I, I, I told him I talk about aliens. I do shows about that as well, because that's true. It's not make believe land. Now, people that he doesn't talk about, he doesn't talk about God in a real way. He just said God said what? Love everybody, be in love with the world, give love, and all that kind of stuff. The brainwashing program that mankind has been trying to use over people. Does it help in any way? Think about it. Think about the world, what's happening. Is love a cure for anything? In relationships, it doesn't last. So where's the word love really help? Women were slaves for a super long time. I mean, they're a little better now, a little more space and freedom, but they're still the victim of selling something, selling their body, selling products through their body and things like that. You watch a commercial, you see a girl walking around, and then, oh, her jeans are for sale, whatever, her perfume's for sale. But it's always has to be a pretty person, pretty girl, usually half naked or naked, whatever, to sell stuff. 90% of the stuff is sold by women. All right. But again, that changed when Jesus came here. The disciples were all married. Something you should understand if you know anything about religion or what so-called path came out of it. Jesus did not come here to create a religion. He came here to teach the truth about God, not about you and your protection and your sins. His disciples went on more about that. John wrote Revelations, and everybody should read Revelations. Whether you believe in the Bible, believe in Jesus, believe in anything, read Revelations, because we're in the middle of it right now. And that was written a long time ago. I mean, we got people like Billy Myers and Michael Horn coming out promoting them, saying, well, his new prophecy just came out, and things like that. But prophecy usually doesn't change a thing. Now, if an angel comes to a person and gives them, what would I say? It's a prophecy of what could happen. That means that person has the responsibility of stop it from happening. All right, that's a concluding, like Noah, Lot, people like that were given this information to do something about. Well, then, if you know anything about Lot, he was told to leave the city, not turn around, not go back. And his wife did, and he lost his wife. And then to create a religion, his path, he had to have children with his daughters to create a family. So, what we assume is right and wrong is based on the ego of mankind in the present moment. When a person's ego becomes big, they think they have the right to change reality. Now, I'm going to say 3 people: Gates, Musk, and Bezos. All think they have the right to change our reality to what they think. To what they think. Now, I'm going to go through a lot of things as fast as I can today. Try to stay with me. Whether you believe me or not, that's your choice. You can find the truth out there. I'm not making this up. Mr. Gates doesn't believe in cows. We don't need cows. They fart and they destroy our ozone layer. And he wants to eliminate cows. He bought not as much land as he could in the United States and keeps buying it and wants to eliminate cows. But guess what they're going to be putting out there? 2 things that you won't believe. One is cricket burgers made from crickets. Really? Put it up online. It'll give you the recipe of what's going to be in the burgers, actually. Really. Now, the other thing is really super gross. Now, it's called milk. All right. Guess where they're going to get their milk from? And I'm not making this up either. From roaches. And I did all the research just today. It takes 2,000 roaches to make a 6-ounce glass of milk. How do they milk a roach when it's pregnant? I have no clue. what kind of technology, what kind of machines they're using, but they're going to have a real lot of it and be able to do it super fast to make milk to be usable in any great way. So you'll have roach milk and cricket burgers and no cows. So, that alone sounds crazy and ridiculous, and it is. Then you got Musk and Bezos fighting over spaceships and space stations in space, but also Mr. Musk with his artificial intelligence. He contradicts himself all the time, saying it's going to be a good thing. They could eliminate all useless jobs. All useless jobs. But what good can it do? It can make things better. Really? And then he comes out, everybody better be watching artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is going to be replacing religion, spiritualism, and everything else. Because there won't be that many people around. Once you lose your jobs, the ability to get food, and all those things start crashing, guess what? Population is going to start shrinking fast. And it's part of the program. Is God part of this program? Of course not. Is God going to stop it? No. It will eventually. But, when Jesus came here, how many people did Jesus save when he was alive? When he was killed, how much was saved after that? Mary Magdalene went to England and Thomas went to India, and they were preaching his teachings, teaching his teachings. But how many people listened? Mary Magdalene was the most spiritual person to ever walk this planet. I'll debate anybody with my life on that one because I was there. She had 32 psychic abilities like Jesus had. He taught her how to go through ascension. Ascension is not a word anybody else can claim, even though many people claim it. If you claim ascension, means you're got the abilities of not God, but the God of the astral plane. 32 psychic abilities. And I haven't met one person or say any person on this planet that has more than one at maybe 10%. To claim ascension, guess what? You don't stay here much longer after you go through ascension anyway. Well, Mary Magdalene lived a while. She went to England. She had a daughter. The Knights of Templar followed her and still do. But I went into that already. But what's that have to do with God? Everything. Their teaching was about God only, not about the stories you hear, not about protection and all these other words. Well, now, let's get back to this person that talks to God, or people that claim they do. How many people are making the world better? How many people are making it rich by talking about it? What's his name? The religious person that's making tons of money. Oh, I have to write it. I write it down. But sticking this one person, multimillionaire now, by selling a book on talking to God. Now he's doing discourses. I'm only going to go through some of the notes. I wrote him a 2-page letter. It took me 2 days to write it. All right. He claims a lot of things and he says things he truly has no right talking about. He says he listens to Jesus and Buddha and what they were teaching. They were teaching 2 separate different things. Somebody bought me a book, Jesus and Buddha's teachings. They're not. They're lies. Everything in the book were twisted stories. Jesus was teaching about God. Buddha was teaching about the universal oneness. 2 separate entities. So how can a person talking to God talk about those 2 things when he can't talk about either? What did God really teach? I don't know too many people on this whole planet that has a clue. Protection. Oh, we'll go into that. Forgiveness of what? Your sins? Again, if you're a religious person, read the Bible. Read Revelations. Read what John wrote. He wrote what sins can't be forgiven. Read it. Everything you think you could be forgiven for. Read it. It's short. Revelations is a short story, but it's where we are. It's what's happening in detail. I mean, when he gets into the horses and all that, that's a different story. It's part of what's supposed to come down Now, my ex-friend, who I did my UFO stuff with for years, claims Lucifer is going to get killed by Jesus in 2034. Again, Lucifer's not bad. Lucifer's a fallen angel like all the other angels. Well, the angels that fell. He didn't turn into a demon, which Satan is. Satan's allowed here for a reason. When you have a system, you always put somebody in power to control it. When you're in jail, you have guards, don't they? To make sure that people just don't run out of jail. Well, Satan's here to make sure that we people do not leave until we attain awareness. And what happens? You reincarnate over and over until that happens. And most people will never attain it in the next couple of lifetimes because they listen to these storytellers. Read Revelations. John talks about all the false prophets that will be here. They're everywhere, in every path, every religion, everything you hear are false prophets. How many talk about a real God? What God put you here for, what you're supposed to learn, and where you go when you leave. It's simple. Two religions, Shab Yoga and Ekankar, teach about soul leaving the body, which is the first starting point of understanding who and what you are. No other way you're going to learn that. You could tell yourself and read this and that, but it's not going to make it real until you do it. Then again, if you're not ready, it's not going to happen. A mass killer is not going to go into meditation and attain it. No, not at all. Angels are there, and they're for a reason, to help soul move forward if a person's ready and willing and listens. Not God. God's not there. God doesn't have to come into this lower, horrible, I won't even use bad words, but this place. Realize this. Soul is eternal. Soul is not solid like the physical body is. Meaning, not like Dante's Inferno, where a soul, how bad it is, goes through these different levels of hell. This is where you experience everything. Burning, freezing, suffering, pain, watch other people suffer, burn, get your heart broken, your mental awareness broken and torn apart. Soul can't do that. Soul doesn't use a brain, all right? It doesn't have a physical body. It doesn't have a heart, per se. We always say our heart. I mean, it doesn't need blood to beat through it. Again, it's not the same. It's a different vibration. Until you experience that, you can't understand it. Oh, I'm a six-dimensional being. Are you in a body? Can I punch you in the head and knock you out? Of course. Can you walk into a wall, walk through it? No. Soul can. Soul doesn't have to be bound by anything here. But it chooses to because the mind is keeping it locked here. And the purpose of the mind is created by Satan, not Lucifer. And it's to help souls move forward. If it had nothing going on, we'd just stick around and do nothing over and over and over, which we're doing. But we're doing bad things over and over, destroying everything we have. Eventually, there will be nothing. So your God, what is it doing for you? As Mr. Walsh makes money on saying this and that. Why would God come to hell to talk to him? What is he going to do? Jesus had abilities. Walsh, does he? He was on the streets when he was without money, doing psychic readings for people to make money. All right. Again, he suddenly realized a way to make money. And you know, the biggest, easiest way to make money on this planet is lie. Lie about any story. I mean, Oprah promotes people. She promoted a guy that claimed he had a root canal done without any Novocaine, which they found out was a lie. I did. I was 17 having a root canal, and my dentist says I can't numb it or I can't tell if I'm going in. He was just new learning about root canals, and I can't tell if I'm going through the nerve or not. I'm gripping the chair, ripping it apart, and going through the worst pain. But again, that was just the story that this guy put out there, and Oprah promoted him. You know, Oprah promotes a lot of people. I can name all those people she promoted. They're all out there teaching things. Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz. But then you got people dangerous to mankind. Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle. They don't talk about God. They don't know God or anything about it. I challenge him. I'm willing to stand on public TV, worldwide, offline, on his own phone, to debate him about the truth about it. No one's willing to go against me because they're afraid their stupid truth is not real. And they know it's not. They're afraid to die. Let's stay here. Let's live here as long as we can. Like Bezos paying millions and millions of, who knows, billions of dollars to doctors to help him live forever. Why? In hell? He never experienced anything higher than the Esther plane. When you do, you realize this is hell, and there's not much reason to stay here. What you do? Why am I here? I'm not going to be here for long. I'm putting what I can out there. I made my mind. I said I want to just do this while I can. I'm dealing with I'm watching what's happening to the world and seeing it going down every which way. You think God cares? Well, God cares about what we don't assume is what mankind has done with what it gave them. We had everything. Everything was healthy, beautiful, clean. And what do? Make poisons, toxins, weapons, destroy, kill, and now we want to clone animals and aliens and humans, everything together. Really? We don't like what God created. So, it's sad. And then we got all the programming going on. The Anunnaki created us, this and that. All these other lies that many people accept. They don't accept the truth about God. Do you want the truth about God, Mr. I'm going to go into that. How to tell if a person really talked to God. If I got time. I try to go through so many things. I know it's hard to listen to me. I'm not a college graduate. I had dyslexia and DH. I can't even say the letters. But I had lots of problems, and I still do. That's why I go around in circles when I talk. But the truth's there. Try to ride along with me around the circle. You're going to see the truth and hear it. How straight out can I be other than God is the most important thing in all reality? Not the universal consciousness, Christ consciousness. People use the word aren't even Christians. And they know Christ? Well, it's what? Energy of what? People use words like I went to ascension. To do what? To become what? Delusional fools. Sorry, people, I only can deal with the truth. I'm going to die with the truth. I'm going to die teaching the truth. I will be doing classes. TJ Morris and I did shows for 12 years. And she really wants to set up workshops and stuff. I will be starting one. I almost did. I kind of pulled out. I don't really want to charge money. You can't charge money for truth. If you do, you're contradictory to yourself. The truth is we don't need money. But here's the thing. Mr. Walsh made millions of dollars now. So what, 20 million copies of his first book? And people believe he's talking to God. Why? Bring God down. Let people see God. And what did God really say? Love each other and all these ridiculous things that every person in a religion that's programmed say. Do you know what the disciples felt when they were dealing with Jesus? I was there. My past life, I was a female. Mary Magdalene was my closest friend. I was in a spiritual place. I was with her the last month of Jesus's abilities in life, and listened to what he taught and what he said to his disciples. His disciples didn't hear it, didn't understand it. Talk about God. If I was talking about the Anunnaki to you right now, do you know much about the Anunnaki? No. Would you believe it? Well, it's an alien race and they created us. How? I mean, they're dealing with stuff they didn't know, going against everything they were taught and they believed in. Now, here's the thing. When Jesus was teaching his disciples, he told them all to leave their families, their friends, their children, and follow him. Why would a spiritual person tell other people to do that? Oh, bring your family, bring your children. Because one soul only unfolds by itself. You don't unfold as a group consciousness. And becoming part of a group consciousness means you're accepting a program, no matter how real or not it is. So when we say group consciousness, whose group you want to be part of? All these UFO people are trying to bring people up to the Galactic Federation ship. Why? They never did anything for us. Now, I'm on a line. I do a show with a woman from England who's been abducted half of her life and is very sickly right now due to radiation poisoning. Where'd you get it? From being abducted. How many people that say they've been abducted are exposed to radiation? So how real is the story that they're telling? I'll tell you this. Radiation can be protected if an alien race wants to protect you. Now, she's alive and she's radioactive. Her dog died. But here's the thing. She's going through all the symptoms of radiation poisoning. But on the other hand, all these people claiming to be abducted and have a great experience with aliens, they have nothing important to say, nothing important to show, and they're not radioactive and all the other things. They weren't given any artifacts. Why is that? If I met an alien today, which I did, but I mean, we weren't on talking terms, but if we were, I was taken on a ship and say, hey, let's go out for dinner and all this. I said, give me something. You could have anything from me if you give me something back. You want my blood? You want one of my kidneys? What do you want? But you got to give me something back for it. Fair trade. And they can't even do that, and they won't. Nobody has an artifact from an alien. Now, the only person, whether you want to believe this story or not, I know it was true. John Lennon was actually taken on a ship. He was even given an artifact from an alien. He said he admitted seeing ships in New York City. He never admitted being abducted. One of my brother's good friends, who was his drummer, played with John Lennon, ended up getting John Lennon's ranch. Knew John Lennon, really. Basically, Buddy Holly, Jimi Hendrix, Buddy Rich, Ginger Baker, and Zook, my brother's drummer, all went to the same school. They were all drummers together. But I mean, when he met John Lennon, he became good friends with John Lennon. John Lennon was abducted, given something. 2 weeks before he was killed, he was in New York City. And I'm not going to get into the whole story, but somebody was given something that John Lennon says, I don't want this no more. The person still has it on his body 24 day and night. Won't let go of it. Says, I believe John Lennon. And he keeps it. But John Lennon says, I don't want it. And 2 weeks later, he was killed. All right. Now, I don't want to go into that story, but these stories are real, people. But what's it mean to the average person? Nothing. You tell them. So what? So what? Nobody in the UFO world has been given something from an alien in 40,000 years. Why is that? I knew an African person, one that had what a kahunas, whatever you want to call him, was given a necklace from an alien race. And then he was told not to go to this meeting, and he did. And they took it back, and he was beat. I mean, you know, the stories what aliens do, nobody wants to hear the truth. Oh, an experience with it. Oh, they picked me up out of my room, and we went to all these planets, and we saw what they're going to do for us. Yeah, well, do it for us. They're not going to do anything good for us, ever. They need this world for what they need it for. Now, God created those beings as well. It's not just humans we're talking about when God created things. God created a roach. God created dinosaurs. A roach is the oldest thing on the planet, and it's still here today. It didn't change into a dragon. It didn't change into anything else. But it did learn how to fly, go underground, not eat for a year, all those things. It's like a super being. In its reality, it's a god. Step on one, and they'll still walk away. I mean, I went in my room, my partner saying, screaming, something's flying around my face. And they get big, but imagine they were maybe 100 feet or even 10 feet. And there was millions of them running around on the planet. The same with an ant. Multiply an ant by 1,000 times, and they're dangerous. They can pick up 100 pounds, 100 times their weight. Imagine what they could do. So, these little things, we judge by size. We think aliens have to be the size of us or whatever. I challenge people when they say they talk to God. How big was God? What did it look like? Where was it? What were you doing? All right. Their answers are vain, and they can't say much about that. How big is God? Do you want to know how big God is? Bigger than you could possibly ever imagine. All right. For one, what's it look like? Well, it has a form. It's not just energy vibrating. All right. It has its ability to create and think and realize it keeps changing what it created, trying to make it better and better. And it grows by awareness of everybody, not individually, because nobody's that powerful, strong, or smart, or energy wise, or anything. But it sees what we create. Now, there's multiple realms. If you get the ability to go to any of God's realms, you'll understand how great it is. But staying on this planet with aliens and government and chemists, you're not going to see anything beautiful ever. Man doesn't do anything beautiful. Hasn't for 45,000 years. I'm aware of all my past lives. Atlantis was the only time this world was at peace and living in the Garden of Eden. There was no killing, rape, murder. Any of those words didn't exist. Mankind didn't eat animals, didn't have to. You couldn't lie, couldn't cheat, couldn't steal, couldn't do any of those things either. Alien races didn't like that, so they destroyed it. But they reprogrammed man to be a killer, eat animals, eat everything, and everything else. They didn't make us, but they created our thoughts and helped us believe horrible things. Sacrifice is a good thing. Really? Do you want to know God? Really? Are you willing to let go that it's there to protect you? It loves you so much. Really? God loves you so much, just let your son get run over by a car or get blasted in a drugstore, school. God loves you so much, it protects you. From what? Nothing physical, people. Do you understand that? Why not? Soul is eternal, not this body. This body has 125 years to its end. If you live that long, which you usually don't. Moses is another story. I'm not going to get into it right now. But again, how old are you? How much longer do you think you can be on this planet before you get a sickness or a disease that mankind created? God didn't create everything. We're creating a lot of garbage in our reality, which is dangerous and taking away our spiritual awareness, giving into Mr. Satan. And Satan is here for a reason. It gives you everything you think you want. I was told if you ask God for something, always ask for 10 times more, so if you get 1% of it, you'll be happy. But that's ridiculous. I mean, in the Bible, it says, what father would not give their son anything that it wants? 90% of the fathers out there, all right, men in general aren't very good to their children. Sure, there's an exception to the rule. And I was just talking to my partner about that. How many families with their children grow up in peace and love the whole life? Very few. And the ones that make it are, I think they're incredible. Not to stray from relationship and love and sex, children in any way. Most parents, whether they realize it or not, abuse their children. Moving them away from their friends, not allowing them to have friends, taking away this and that from them and making them do other things, making them follow a religion. All these things create karma for them and take away their spiritual growth of their child. They don't know how to protect their child spiritually even. All these things. We blame God. We say it's God. No, God doesn't have to deal with this planet. It's hell. It's junk. God doesn't make junk. We do. God gave us the most beautiful place in the universe. And what are we doing to it? Look around. And you listen to these so-called speakers, again, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, the Dalai Lama, the Pope, even Oprah, her stories. Are they helping the human race move forward in any good way? Musk, Gates, Bezos, and all the other multi-billionaires and millionaires. What are they doing for us? Now, and I have to say this, I do it on every show I do because it's a really important statement for which direction we're going and why. And Jesus said it many times in the Bible alone. So people heard him say that. I heard him say it. But again, it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to go into heaven. If a rich person hears that, yeah, so what? So what? You think having millions of dollars sitting in your bank account and then you die, that's a good thing? All the children and families and things you could have did and helped and saved. Oprah with all her money, she cares about her dogs more than other people. What she teach? How to lose weight, which she goes up and down on. These people do things. For what reason? Ego. To get more money? I wrote to Mr. Walsh. I said, when you talk to God, ask him because he says him. All right. Ask him how much money you should make, how long you should charge money, and when should you stop charging money. I wonder if he ever answers that to himself or even thinks he wants the answer. Still doing workshops, charging people money. He did a free one to get everybody to go to his workshop. Money is the root to all evil. You heard that 1,000 times, and it is. More poor people are much more spiritual than any rich person. And if they have money, they give it away. They use it more. They give it to other people. They're willing to feed and help and all those things. Rich people are not. They're snobs. Walk in their house with dirty shoes. You're not allowed in my house. Not take your shoes off and whatever. I was working for a Kennedy on Long Island. I pulled up in front of the house. First time I was going to their house to work there in their swimming pool. And they go, don't pull in front of my house. Go around back. Like I was an animal. I mean, you're treated by rich people very ignorantly. What do they think we are? And why do you think the Constitution was based on rich people? Do you understand that? And we talk about the Constitution. The Constitution should be rewritten, made by the people of the United States right now, completely rewritten to the laws, to the way we think right now, where women have equal rights, where races are coming in and we're all equal. Not like outcasting the Native people and killing them all. Realize they were killing Native people. They killed 50 million Native people in only 400 years. Think about that. And they're the ones that helped create the Constitution. Jefferson wrote the second part of the Constitution where we have the right to form a militia. But what did he do? Rode along the coastline, killing every tribe he could. Washington, what did he do? Well, let's give that native tribe freedom. Then he would give the orders to take out 2 other tribes. They were eliminated constantly. Then, by the 1900s, do you know Native children were still in prison camps? I call Catholic schools prison camps. They were brought there to be programmed until they were 16. They were forced to cut their hair. If they didn't, they killed the children. It's horrible. This is the race. Why do you think people wanted guns then? They got paid for killing Native people. I mean, we got guns now. We getting paid to kill other people? If we go back to those days, we should, right? Oh, shoot bad guys, and we'll give you $1 million every time you shoot a bad guy. We're really sick race, people. All of us on this planet. Fighting with each country over what? Money, ideas. The aliens aren't backing anybody up in any good way. and that's going to help change it for the worse. While mankind right now, the UFO world is going to explode this year, and it's not going to bring anything beneficial. In the UFO world, these people are talking about talking to aliens. Let's forget about God. Aliens are going to help us. Help us what? They gave us the most dangerous weapons on the planet. They don't care about humans. They don't have feelings and emotions like we do. So, there's so many races and they're not all bad. Well, the ones that are good can't help us because the bad ones won't let that happen. So, people, what do we believe about God? What do you know about God? List the thing. I do this over and over, but people still don't even try it or even listen. Write it down what you believe God is. Everything. No, it's not. It's not your twisted thoughts, the bad actions you create. That's your free will to do that. God doesn't force you to do that. Angels try to help you if you listen, but you don't. So, God is good to hell? Well, why doesn't just eliminate Satan? What do you think would happen? It's like if we were all one compassionate, loving race. What would we do? What would change? What would we be doing? Think about it. If everybody loved each other and everybody had compassion for each other, what would happen? We sure wouldn't be thinking about making rockets to go to other planets. Why? If you have everything, why do you need to go somewhere else? Because you're ignorant. Your ego says, no, I want everything. And it's the old saying, I want what's on the other side of the fence. Not feeling happy with what you have. Not knowing what you have. People, there's all these speakers out there in the spiritual world, religious world. Religions are so programmed into what Jesus supposedly taught, and they don't even know. They block Mary Magdalene's teaching because they don't know what she was teaching. Go to France. Go to where her skull resides, in this giant temple. They said it's the most spiritual artifact on the planet, and they believe that. Why? Because she was the one that finished teaching all of Jesus' disciples about God, how to see and move into the inner worlds and stuff. How they met Jesus. Jesus didn't become a physical body walking around the planet. No, it didn't. He did not. He was in soul body. So, and when you die, we go into our astral body. We don't go into our soul body, people, just so you know. Big difference. But why would he want to come back? To teach ignorant people that don't listen? What? You got to listen. Well, I say, watch the day the earth stood still. When he came out and said, you either listen or there'll be no tomorrow. What if God came down and said that to the world? You think everybody would listen? Many might. Many might not. When people know something's bad, they still do it. Well, maybe I could get away with it. Get away with it is an excuse. Nobody will know is an excuse. Or they can't find out. Excuses man does to do the things, or women too, to do the things that they know are wrong. Speeding, well, I can do it. I'll get by today. Lying to your children. Lying to your wife. Lying to your husband. Why? Truth is the only thing that matters. Why did God allow you to become aware? Or why does God allow you to become aware? Because you can rise to a greater heights. Not here in hell. Hell's a place to get out of, not you're going to be pushed into. And then the Pope comes out and says, imagine that. Hell does not exist. Hello, everybody in the chat room. Sorry, I've been trying to get through some stuff. Well, I'm sorry about the delay. I don't know what's going on. I'm starting to get attacked a lot of different ways, but you know, the more you put truth out, the less people want to hear it, and more people hate it. Don't say anything against my truth. Your truth. Is it the world's truth? No. Truth is for the world, not for an individual. All right? If everybody accepts the truth, it would be great. But most people will never. Every people, every kind of people on this planet create their own level of God. If it's Jesus, their own level of Jesus. What they feel and want by some of the programs they were taught. God forgive you. Jesus will forgive your sins. How? You kill somebody, you're forgiven, and you go out and kill somebody. Jesus said, don't ever come back. Once you have the truth, you got to live within that. And people did not. We have the truth today, and nobody listens to it. Now, Jesus accepted the 10 Commandments. Moses created 613 laws on top of them. So Moses was totally ridiculous in what he did. But Jesus said, there's nothing in the 10 Commandments that could hurt a person. But the word love was never mentioned in there, was it? Love didn't exist. Moses was alive. Love did not exist. So how could he write it in there? So people, when you read, when you listen to somebody speaking, and they tell you everything's all right, and like Mr. Walsh just said, everything's the way it's supposed to be. No, it's not. It will never be that. Not in hell. How could you tell people that? Why would you want to tell people a lie like that? Just go outside your door. Jump in front of a car. That's the way it's supposed to be? No, there's sickness, disease, mental diseases they're creating, and it's affecting children now. Dementia is happening to children. Imagine forgetting who and what you are when you're little. Never mind becoming 60, 70 years old and then losing everything you thought you know who and what you were. What a horrible way to go. People, look at the facts. Don't look at the people. I mean, when there's a war in a country, oh, only 10 people died. Wow, 10,000 people could have died. Countries don't want to admit that they're losing a battle. When you hear how many people died, how many buildings got blown up. You had a battle that's going on right now. People are dying every minute. Do you care? Oh, send them unconditional love. And then what's that going to do for them? People, this is a real world. And it takes real action in a real world. You don't get paid for thinking you're a working person. You get paid to work. Same with spiritual laws. To be spiritual, do something spiritual. You got money, do something good with it. Not make cricket food or roach milk. I mean, that's not a solution. Oh, well then, the big thing now is the Animal Society saying we got to stop monkey testing on monkeys. What would you prefer them to test? People? Test it on your children? Test it on who? The first ship, I mean, they put a monkey on it. I mean, what do you want? People to get the experience first and die, and then they'll say, oh, it doesn't work? I mean, we use rats for most of the things we can test. And the word guinea pig is for a reason. But monkeys? Why? Do you care about monkeys? Do you care about Bigfoot? Do you care about apes and what they're doing to apes around the planet for the past 25 years? Do you care about the truth? And you want to know God? You think you know God? Really? You're living in hell. The laws and rules are based for hell people, not good people. I don't know how many people are willing to go outside their box. All right. Meaning, okay, you believe this, you believe that. What if it's a lie? What if it is? Do you care? Are you willing to prove it to yourself? Prove everything's the way it's supposed to be. And do something bad and then look back. Oh, that's the way it's. You got a fish tank with your little fish swimming around. Dump it on the floor. Is that the way it's supposed to be? No, we're not creating the things that are supposed to be the way they're supposed to be. How can somebody making money recognized as one of the most spiritual people because he claims something spiritual, and say something ridiculous like that. I'll stand before my words. I'll die with my truth. But I challenge every speaker on this planet, no matter what religion they're in, no matter who they say they are, what they say they are. Super spiritual, super demonism, witchcraft, voodoo, whatever you want to claim you are, but are you ready to prove it and defend what you say you are? Prove it. God's my light, my protector for my soul, not this physical body. I get shot in the brain, I could die. I get shot in the heart, I'll die. But that's the stupid body that I'm in. And my body's getting old, and it is becoming stupid. So where do you want to go with your life, people? Be a famous singer? When you come near the end of your singing career, you get possessed with the idea, I'm a nobody now. All famous singers go through that. Elvis was one of the most critical people to go through that because he was the king. And then the Beatles, the Stones, and people came in and started stripping away his fame. And then look at his life, what he was eating, how he was living before he died. Michael Jackson was in that boat too. And Michael Jackson was a young person in an old body. He never grew up, never had the chance to. So what they did to him, what happened to him, it's, mental disease is what we name a lot of things, but it's the effects of sexual and mental abuse. I'm telling you straight out. I'm finishing a book. It's on rape. It's just about done. I need to get somebody to edit it, but I don't think people can stand to listen to what I'm saying because it's so perverted, twisted, and sick. But it's what's really happening, people. I guarantee you don't know 10% of what's in my book. And when you read it, hopefully you'll be shaken to the core, male or female. But men might not want to read it at all because they don't think rape's that bad. That's why they have all these stupid laws that protect men. Why in a lot of countries it's not illegal or things like that. I don't want to get into that. It's so perverted, and the things that they allow in other countries and stuff. Look up sharking. I looked up sharks because of a shark that was just killed and stuff, and it came up sharking in Japan. Look what it means. Look what it's about. And they don't have any real laws on it. Just to show you how pathetic the United States is, go online and type police are allowed to rape criminals. Pull it up. Some states they're allowed to. I'm not making that up. Seriously. I hate everything I read because it's lies. And then when it's not a lie, it's so true. It's ridiculously horrible. People, what's going on today in Hawaii? They have classes once a month on the sex trade going on here. The churches are doing it, trying to get awareness to it. People go missing and they're gone. Well, sure, people want to kill people, they dump them into the ocean. But as the other thing is, when children go missing, there's a lot of horrible things going on. But if it's happening in Hawaii, just imagine every other country, every other state around the world, what's happening. There's nothing good going on, people. Jesus isn't your savior on that. It's a savior on your soul when you die. And you should be looking at that more than your physical body. Well, I got a disease. Well, sickness was created for a reason too. It's to pay off your karma, and it's allowing you to leave. Whether you have to come back or not is how sick you are, or perverted or twisted. Remember Billy Joel put out a song, Only the Good Die Young? Why would he sing a song like that? Because going through life is hell. And you'll hear many people say that. And the excuse for living in it is drinking, smoking, drugs, sex abuse. But that has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with your understanding of God. Then you got the Hindu religion going into Kama Sutra. And, well, their ideas of sexual energy to create understanding of God. Ridiculous. Those things come from the brain. The brain cannot experience God. The brain is a computer. It won't understand God ever. Soul has to experience it, and it has to understand what it is. And that's why it's here. People, I can go on about this, but I just, I was so disgusted when I read about, I watched this workshop that Mr. Walsh put out and said, and I told him, I'm going to do a show on you alone. I said, people won't listen because they don't like the truth. But they listen to his stories. He's talking to God. Oh, God said this today. Really? You're everything you can be. Of course you are. You are what you are. You're not a 10th dimensional, 6th dimensional being. You're a person in this physical reality. And you'll stay that until you leave. Not saying what's going to happen to children when they clone children and stuff like that, which they're doing, and all that kind of stuff, what's going to happen. But I promise you this. Souls, what we are, will not be going into those entities. And there'll be entities at that state. Meaning aliens are reincarnating into this reality. How many people talk about that? Nobody. How many people even know that? I don't know anybody that understands that. I had death experiences. I traveled the astral plane and all the worlds above it. The astral plane is not much better than here. But when you go from here to there, oh, I can be any age I want. Oh, I don't have to eat. And it'll sound like an incredible, incredible place to be. And when you're stuck there for a long period of time, I mean, years are different there. You'll be there for 100,000 years and say, wow, this is great. And what are you learning? Not much. All right. The astral plane is an extension of this plane when you're supposed to start realizing what soul is, what you are, because you pick an age, usually 26 to 36, and you do what you want. But how long do you want to do that? Because you're still not doing it under God because you don't know what God wants. You don't know why God even put you there still. And you're lucky to stay on the astral plane because most souls have to reincarnate because they are aware of nothing important. Saying you're a 6th dimensional being doesn't bring you closer to God. It brings you closer to the idea, well, I'm a universal energy. So what? Can you do anything? Can you prove that in any way? I'm just trying to read what was written in the chat. I'm sorry. Prince, I can't edit check for mistakes. I know what's happening out there, people, but we're losing ground. We're going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, and I don't see anything stopping it. We got UN Agenda 21-30 in full phase. It's up to stage 4 already. We got aliens around the planet constantly. Are they helping us, people? Did you hear a UFO person come out, go on public TV and say something really important? You might hear somebody say something. When David Wilcock went on TV the first time, he said he was God. Really? Oh, you're God. Do something. Prove it. All right. I was doing a TV show years ago, and one of the people on it said they were a reptilian. And they asked him to stick his tongue out or change. And he said, oh, he can't do it. Not on TV. There's always an excuse for the truth. Well, I can levitate. Well, I have to be in my room. I have to. The excuses. And one guy was trying to prove that these spiritual people can levitate. He traveled the world to find a person. He finally went to the mountains of, I don't know, I don't think it was Tibet. Obama. And when he went in the door, he said, "You stay there," which was the far side of the room. And he kind of rose like a couple inches off the mat. And they wouldn't let him go near him either. I said, "Wow, you levitate 2 inches. Is that ever going to help you in anything?" Uh, and if you could levitate a pencil, you could levitate a car, you can levitate a mountain, you can levitate whatever you want. If you can, but you can't. Now, Caroline Corey, watch her movies. She's got 2 of them out. I think she put a 3rd one out. She says she can levitate a piece of paper. Well, levitate a car then. Levitate something else. I mean, back in the magic days when Kreskin was doing hypnosis and magic as well, we had a couple magicians out there, the Amazing Randy, and we had David Copperfield doing magic, and people believed what they did. You know, if you get people to believe something, which they did in the old days, to get people to believe something. Sai Baba had one of the biggest followings of people around the planet. And he did magic, real stage magic, to win people over. The famous words that they used was booty dust. He pulled this dust out of the air and he would pour it into their hands. Then he pulled rings out of the air. But I watched it. He's doing straight magic. And he gives somebody a ring. If you get a ring that's supposed to came from the inner worlds, there would be something different about it. All right? And you would know that. I can go into that. I had a teacher, a master. I called him. He was a master of a class and of the group people I was in. And he said, well, I was close to him. It was him and me basically a lot because I got him into his house and I helped him a lot of different ways. But he says, what do you want? What can I do to prove to you? I said, do anything. And he pulled a black rose out of the air. Try to do that with a magic trick. Then he says, okay, you're so into UFOs and aliens, let's go on the roof. And he pulled a ship over us. He says, they won't let me pull it down right now. We can do this next month. They'll come down and I'll bring you on the ship. All right. And this is for real. But I went through really bad times. My worst times of my life happened during that time frame as well. Read my book. I get into some of it. I don't even want to go into the bloody details because there was that involved as well. But people, to attain spiritual awareness and to move forward, you got to go through suffering. Or you're not willing to let go of what you're holding on to. You're all saying, what, an egg today is better than a chicken tomorrow? No, it's not. Holding on to things that do not allow you to grow is useless. Working in a bar is not beneficial in any way. Serving people, getting them drunk is not beneficial. Doing things that aren't beneficial to anybody. If you're going to feed a homeless person one day, is that really going to help them? We have these programmed ideas. We do a good thing a day. What, feed a pigeon today and let them starve tomorrow? You have to follow through with whatever you create. Like, I don't want to go into Oprah's story about creating the school in Africa, what happened and everything, but pull up the information on it. I mean, Mr. Trump created these classes and everything, and what did he do in the end? Pull up the facts on it. People don't like to deal with the facts. They'd rather deal with stories. Oh, this person's great, that person's great. Look behind the lies. Nobody's great. They wouldn't be in hell. They wouldn't be dealing in garbage. All right? You know, but I'm going to say this. This is kind of, well, I'll kind of bring it to closer to an end, but a vice. You know what the word vice means? Something that you attach to that helps you get through the day and your life. Good, bad, or indifferent. We all have one. What it does to you is different as well. But the first and most important thing, whatever your vice is, it cannot hurt somebody else. If you drink and hurt other people, it's going to create so much karma in your life. You do drugs, it's going to hurt somebody else. It's going to bring a lot of karma in your life. sexual things like that. It's going to hurt other people. It's going to hurt you as well. I mean, you want to have sex every day. Well, if you get that agreement with your wife, partner, whatever, it could be a good thing. But when it's forced, or when you change it to it has to be, or it hurts somebody in any way, it's called karma. So if you got a vice, putting models together, hopefully that's not going to hurt nobody. Flying a little plane, driving a little car, whatever. They made all those kind of games for children when we were young. Now it's computer. Computer does everything, tells you everything. You don't do anything. So again, creating fake names on a computer. You think that's fun? Hurting other people? It hurts other people. Watch Shark. What is it called? Shark. What's the word? Catfish. Sorry, shark's a bad word. Catfish is another bad word as well, though. But what people do on the internet. Imagine people talking for a couple of years and saying they love each other, and one person's just playing games with the other person the whole time. We are doing horrible things, and we create things to do it in more different ways than ever. Instead of making it better, we don't. So your God, what should God tell you? Live in a world that's hell? Maybe it is time to leave. Maybe that's why more people are dying regularly. And realize sickness is not usually just a bad thing. It's time to leave. No, I want to have 10 children. And have them do what? You're not going to give them all love. You won't be able to give them all love. Will you be able to feed them and teach them and guide them and protect them? Spiritually and physically. All these little things create karma. If you're ready for the word, that's the first thing you need to learn how to stop. And then you can do things, what kind of job you can get, what kind of things you can do that don't hurt people, don't take away from other people. Companies take away, they don't pay their people half as much as they're worth or they should be. Workforce abuses their people to the max. I mean, they talked about putting gyms in workplaces and things like that, so that this way at lunchtime they could have entertainment, relax, and all that, and give them an hour instead of a half hour or whatever. But they don't do that. They never did. They talked about it. They were going to do it. A couple places might have started. But you keep your people happy, you get more work, you get things done. Make everybody hate each other and angry, you get less done. And things are done with anger, end up releasing more anger. Cooking when you're angry puts anger into the food that people are going to eat. But people did bad things. I know when I was in school, I know the people that were in the cooking place, and they said, don't eat the soup today, don't eat this today, don't eat that today, for reasons because they did something bad to it. But people are not as good as you think they are. Oh, we're good people in general. No, we're not. Good people don't allow these horrible things to go on and on and on without the right justice. Smoking marijuana is not as bad as hurting a child. All these things, we judge it by whose mentality, whose judgment bar are you judging it by? God's or your own? And the problem is, it's ego. Men usually decide by his own ego. Women, I would say, automatically would make a better decision in anything. And if they're trying to impeach Biden, and if we had a woman president, what are these people going to think? Try to impeach her right away? People don't think. If they think of a 5-minute segment. They don't think before and after of that segment. And all you hear is live in the moment, live in the now, Mr. Deepak Chopra. You can't live yesterday, or Eckhart Tolle. You can't live the day before. You're living in the now. You're breathing air in the present. Where are you going with your God? What does it teach you? What does it tell you? Love everybody for what reason? People on the other side of the planet, your love's not helping them. Oh, we will change the energy. No, it doesn't. 90% of the planet is starving, poor. Well, 6% are poor and middle class. And then you got the rich percent, the last percentage. even that's growing because the bad of that is growing. So Satan's winning. The more rich people there are, the more will be suffering, the poor people. Oh no, well, think about it. Who created the Constitution? God? Native people created part of it, and they spoke about unity. The 5 tribes, that's what are the arrows on your dollar bill or the eagle and everything was a symbol of native teachings. Why the eagle had 5 arrows in its hand? Because as a group consciousness, meaning 5 arrows, meaning 5 nations sticking together, you can't break it. Take 1 arrow, you could break it over your leg. 5 arrows, you can't. And that's how it's demonstrated by the native people. The eagle represents freedom. Do we have freedom in any way? Freedom of speech? Freedom of what? Protesting? But when we protest, we get angry. Or other people get angry. See, we created a system that's going downhill rapidly. And we want to blame God? Or we think God wants it to be that way? Are you really that sick to believe that? Oh, I'm not going to read everything I'm on the right to. I'm not talking about magicians. Yeah, David Blaine's a good magician. But here's the thing, people. There's real magic and stage magic. I was a regular, real stage magician as well as a high priest. So I know both ends of magic. The physical and the psychic parts of it. I proved the spiritual side, the psychic part of it as well. I went through all that. But physical magic, you can get anybody to believe anything you want them to believe by doing some stupid magic trick. And they believe it's real. And now magic's so creative. I don't even want to go into magic because it's so far from my awareness and how to figure it out. But it's when I was young, I could figure any magic trick out. I was a magician. I did a lot of magic and I made my own tricks and everything. But it was easy to figure stuff out. But now with computers, it's so easy to create a world, which is what they're using for a lot of magic now. That makes it a lot harder because it's not real. Remember, magic stage magicians are not real. I mean, they're real people, but what they do isn't real. Now, on the other end, magic, black magic, white magic, is real, but it's not really seeable until it affects something that's going to happen. I hope you die and a person dies. I mean, things like that. I want to see him have an accident, smash the plow into a car. I mean, that's energy created by your thoughts. And yes, thoughts are incredibly strong. But how come all the thoughts that mankind put together never made world peace? The power of Satan here in this world is stronger than anything else. Stronger than all the love you have for somebody. So no matter what you believe, no matter what religion or what spiritual path you claim to be on, where's God fit into it? It doesn't. You believe in universal energy? You don't even understand God at any level. Oh, the stars? The stars are teaching you what? The universe is teaching you what? All the bodies are here in hell, and they had nothing spiritual to bring out. And sorry, what man did to Jesus, but any spiritual person in older days were usually killed. Even Nostradamus was almost lucky. He was almost killed so many times because of making a prophecy, even when he said the king's going to get killed, and he did. He had books of Enochian magic, covers with human skin on the covers of books, and he dealt with high magic. All right, you don't hear much about that part of it because people don't understand it. Psychic abilities are not beneficial in any way in our time frame. If a person was psychic, 100% psychic, which somebody that goes through ascension is, somebody that goes through ascension has 32 psychic abilities at 100% of every one of them. Jesus didn't have to die. He had to because he wanted to, because he had to show what he was teaching. All right. Mary Magdalene lived. She left the country. She did a lot of things. So did Thomas. How much magic she used? How much of the abilities did she use? Probably a lot to protect her and her daughter. And about Thomas, he was accepted as Jesus. So they didn't attack him. But I mean, I don't know how many Hindu people actually believed him. But how many people know what Jesus is teaching today? 2.4, 2.5 billion people. And I challenge any one of them to tell me what God was actually teaching. You have to be a Christian to answer that. Oh, he was teaching about protection and forgiveness. Of what? What protection do you have? Anybody in this physical world? Well, anywhere I go, I'm protected. Really? From what? A tree falling on you? Lightning bolt hitting you? Car hitting you? What? What are you really protected from? Walk in a store and get a virus. There's no such thing as a virus, but walk in a store and get a poison. All right? What? What are you protected from? People, you accept things that are definitely not provable and definitely are not real. And when you hear people saying aliens are a good thing, we're going to clone them, we're going to give birth to them as well, and all these things, it's playing God, which you are not, trying to create a world which we will never create, a better world, ever. If we go backwards, we could create a better world, but we're not going to. People, I do this not for money. The spiritual side, I do it because it's the only thing I can do. When you know the truth, you can't hide from it, and I can't run from it. I don't care if anybody believes it or not. I could put it out there like the Emerald Tablets. So the truth will destroy the lies in the end. Whether it's the end of your life, the end of reality, whatever. But it's a true statement. And that's why I'll live until I die. But I will be putting my truth out there. And I'm not the only one on the planet that understands the truth that I'm trying to give you about soul travel, leaving your body, meeting the deities and gods in the other realms and stuff. But what they are and what happens and what you can do and see and be when you get there. You're no longer male or female, so forget that idea as well. After the astral plane, that changes. So the astral world, you could still be a male or female. But when you reincarnate, doesn't mean you have to be a male or female just because you wore that in the astral plane either. There's so many things you have no clue about or even want to know because you're not there yet. But I will be doing classes, people, real classes on the steps and the things you can do to become aware. And you don't have much time. Before the program hits this planet and tears it apart, there's not going to be much time. I'm going to tell you, 8 years. Unless a bunch of alien races decide they can change it and try to, which could happen, which is going to happen, but it won't be for the better. Some spiritual being pops out of the ethers and proves something important to the world, which will probably not happen. Going back to Hindu, I mean, they worship deities and stuff, and they would talk about these deities, gods walking around on the planet. Deities, they weren't gods. Gods was a man-made word, too. But when Jesus started teaching it, he was teaching about the one and true only creator. The one true creator. All right, people. I gave you some stuff to think about. Please, I'm open to questions. I'll answer anyone. And I challenge people on what they think they know is truth. Because, yes, well, Hitler hypnotized people. You know the word, I met Kreskin when I was a little kid when I learned hypnosis. I was doing hypnosis at 14. But he used a word in front of his audience. He said, it's the power of suggestion. And it's putting a suggestion out there, making your mind accept it. Now, I worked with an army hypnotist years later when I was already doing hypnosis. And he said in the army, what they did to make a person kill somebody is hypnotize them, but make them believe a different scenario. Okay, I want you to kill your mother. He said, when you go home, there's going to be a fake person imitating your mother. She's going to look just like her. And you build a scenario around that the person accepts. You don't say, kill your mother. You tell them and build a scenario that they're going to accept that's not real. And they will do it. I made people do things in front of people. Seriously. I didn't hurt people. But, I mean, my friends wanted me to do things to people. And I did it one time and it was really sad and bad. But again, you learn. And hopefully you learn from your mistakes. You don't move forward in your mistakes. But are you really ready for the truth? Well, if you didn't get anything out of this, I'm sorry. If you did, send this link to everybody you know. Please, I'm going to be doing a workshop with TJ Morris probably soon. If you want to go into details and ways and what you need to do and prepare and how to get into it, other than go into meditation and become that. No, you don't become that. There's angels you got to work with. There's things you got to learn. You just don't learn how to fly. You just can't jump in a plane and fly it. So there's a lot of things that's going on right now that's going to make it harder for each and every one of you to move forward. But now is the last time frame that you're going to have to really change that. The world can be destroyed, but there will be another another hell to replace it, so that when you reincarnate, you have somewhere to go. And it will be just to your karma. You're not going to go from a super poor person to a super rich person in your next lifetime, unless you're moving backwards. But you'll have to experience that to understand it, and that's why you reincarnate. Well, I was rich. I want to be rich. And then you reincarnate again. I want to be rich. I want to be rich. And you reincarnate again. Well, I'm not getting nowhere. Why not? Well, I'm going to do some good things with my money. Suddenly things change. But that's something you have to learn. All right. Till next time, Rev.Hawksblood here. Yes, I'm a reverend. I was going to become a preacher when I was young, and I decided not to because my preacher said to me, I have to donate 40% of my salary to the church. I said, I'll donate 60 most of the time. I'll donate 80 if I can. But if I can't donate 40, I can't. Oh, no, you always have to. I said, I always do what? Show me where God said donate 40% of anything to God. Does God need 40% of anything that you have to offer? Well, people, the truth's out there. Find it. Don't stop ever. Don't listen to everybody. Take whatever you hear and believe, run it through a filter, go over it, reevaluate. Billy Meyer's prophecies, he had 100. He sent them around the world. Yes, a lot of them came true. But in prophecy, putting a prophecy out there, I mean, I was predicting every major earthquake. Like the last three 7.0s that we had, I said it's going to happen within 2 or 3 months. So again, did that make me super spiritual or anything? No. When Nostradamus made a lot of prophecies and he said Hisker instead of Hitler, did he really mean Hitler? Combinations, we put things together to make it fit what we want it to. When a person translates the Bible, they make it fit to what they want it to be. But prophecies are useless if they don't change anything. All right. You heard it here. Rev.Hawksblood. Open to the truth? Please, open more. Open a little more, little by little. You'll see it. You'll experience it. Work on getting it out of your body with protection. Find out what your protection is. Simple little things. But you want to learn that? I'll be doing a class with TJ real soon, and I'll be putting it up and letting you know. So love, light, whatever you need in your life. Hope you get it. Peace.